Hello, Mavs, and welcome back to today's reading lesson. Team, today is a super fun one, right? Because we talk a lot about gratitude and how important it is. And today we're going to be talking about ways that authors share their gratitude to the people that help them write their stories. And what we're going to also learn is this will also help for us to understand that it's a complicated process to write a book, right? It's not just the author writes the story and it's done. There's a lot that goes into publishing books, and there's a lot of people that go into the process and the creativity in these books. So without further ado, let's go ahead and pull our bow and arrow back on to 1, 2. I can notice and understand the purpose of acknowledgements in books. Woo! Okay, guys. So yeah, today we're going to look at one of the funny books, right? That talks all about all these animals that love to eat books for lunch. And we get to revisit another one of Seymour Simon's books and his research and information on penguins. All right, team. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up to the acknowledgement section. And most of the time, the acknowledgement is going to go in the beginning of the book. However, every author has that creativity and choice and decision to do what they need to do in order for it to read the way that they want it to. But today we're going to look first at bugs. Bugs for lunch. And we are going to open up this book and we are going to go right to the dedication or gratitude or acknowledgement that this author received. So if you look way down here, so up here, just a quick review, we see our our thank yous, our dedications, and down here we see our thank yous. So he says, with thanks for generous assistance with illustration references to Peter Manziel and Man-Eating Bugs, The Art and Science of Eating Insects by Peter Manziel and Faith D'Alucio, a Material World book, distributed by 10 Press, Berkeley, California, 1998. So here in this book, we know that this story goes through, and this is a fictional story, but we also know that it teaches us, right, a lot about the other animals that eat other insects for their meals. And today what we're going to do is we're going to look at that dedication and think about what was the purpose of this author sharing that dedication in their writing. So let's go here and so what did you notice about this dedication? What did you notice? What did the author do to share in their dedication? Well, you might have noticed that the author thanked an expert, right, for helping them in their writing. And they gave special credit and referenced the books that the author was thanking the other author for writing. So they took that information from the other text and used it to create a more fictional story that had information to learn for students. So in this book, the author is thanking someone named Peter Manziel for his help with the book. How did Peter Manziel help her? What did he do? What do you think, readers? What did Peter Manziel do to help our author Marjorie Facklum in writing her story? Yes, right? He gave her the information. He gave her the facts in order for her to be able to build this story that taught real information in a fun narrative way for students to learn. I love it. Great job, readers. All right, team. So sometimes, this is what we're going to learn, is that sometimes authors thank the people who helped them with the book. And they do this by thanking people with their illustration help, right, who gave them information and ideas for information that would help to tell the book. So sometimes they might thank the illustrators who they feel really did an amazing job to bring their stories to life. Let's go through and read another book, or a portion of the book, of penguins. I'm going to open up our story here. And before I open up our book, I want you to think about, what did the author write about in the acknowledgments and why? What was the purpose, right? Whenever we notice something, we always want to go back to the why. What was the purpose in this acknowledgement? And second, I'm going to ask you, why do you think the author asked someone who works at a natural history museum for help? But let's start with number one. What did the author write about in the acknowledgments and why? All right. So we remember Seymour Simon. Recall he was a teacher for 25 years, and he found ways. He was also a published author during this time, and he wanted to find ways to really engage students and children and grow their interest in natural world wonders. So here he writes, a special thanks to Gary Graves, Curator, National Museum of Natural History, Smithsonian Institution, for his invaluable contribution to this book. Wow. So what did the author write in his dedication? Well, he wrote a thank you to Gary Graves, who works at the National Museum of Natural History, Smithsonian Institute, and that's one of the most famous places, right? So that can tell us that Gary Graves must be an expert on penguins who really helped him to pull out that valuable information that Seymour Simon wanted to share. So why do you think it was important for Seymour Simon to thank Gary? Why do you think that? Yes, readers, because without Gary Graves, without all of that deep information and valuable information, Seymour Simon wouldn't have all of the things that he wanted to teach readers about penguins. Okay, so let's go back to our other question. Why do you think the author asked someone who works at a natural history museum for help? Why would an author do that? Why do you think? Yes! He wanted to, because they are the expert, right? A lot of times we are so good at telling the stories and doing the research, but we have to find the valuable, true information, and we get that from people who are experts. Readers, you are amazing! All right, absolutely. So let's go back to our chart. Maybe. Let's go back to our chart here. Okay. So we said that sometimes authors thank people who help them with the book. They might help someone who helped with the illustrations and really partnered with them to help bring that story to life. Other times, in this situation, they thanked an expert who helped them to tell the story and provide all of the deep, rich, factual information so that they could turn that factual information to life and provide a story for children that they would want to learn and read from. So readers, here is your job. First off, what are acknowledgments? What are they? In your own words, I want you to pause this video and I want you to share out loud. What is an acknowledgement when you find it in a book? All right, readers, you are right. An acknowledgement is really a way to thank someone who has made a difference in this book that we are publishing. And why do authors write them? Well, they write them because they want to thank the people who helped these stories come to life. So readers, what we have learned today is that making a book takes a lot of work from a lot of different people. And authors usually cannot write and publish and edit a book all on their own. There are a lot of people who come together to help these stories come to fruition. So here's your job. Today in your reading, I want you to look, right? And sometimes it can be kind of hard. It might not be at the top where the dedication is, right? You might find it lower on the page, or you might even find it in the back of your text. But I want you to see if the author that you are reading today, if they took the time or felt it was important to acknowledge the other people who helped to make this book possible. So be sure to bring this book with you when you respond to today's mini lesson. If the author doesn't provide a thank you or an acknowledgement, I want you to think about who do you think they maybe could have thanked. Maybe they could thank a family member. Maybe they could have done some research at a museum. What would be some recommendations on someone that you can thank? Because readers, whenever we write a book, there are always people who help us to make it possible. Whether it's the people who help tell your story, whether it's the people who help you publish your work, but think about even in your own writing, who you can acknowledge for their contribution to your work and to your story. All right, readers, I am so excited to hear your responses. Have an awesome day. Bye, Mav.